Our next guest had a 17-year NBA career that saw him as a 7-time All-Star and 5-time All-NBA selection, playing for the Portland Trailblazers, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Brooklyn Nets. It's LaMarcus Aldridge, everybody. Everybody get crazy. We got LaMarcus Aldridge on the show. And LaMarcus, I guess first things first, I have to ask you this. As a Texas alum, like, do you still get stopped everywhere you go in the state of Texas? And do people thank you for everything that you've done for the University of Texas?
Yeah, probably more now since I'm not playing anymore. I think people, tell me that they, thank me for all the things I did, when I was at UT, and then how I tried to continue the legacy after I was gone. If Kevin Durant never went there, I think they would think more highly of me. But the fact that he came after me, I think my little tenure is overlooked a bit.
Do you ever go to UT football games? Because I saw Katie on the sideline, and I think maybe if you show up more, it'll just, cement your legacy.
I used to, but not anymore. I might get back into that now since I have more time on my hands. But I've been to a game in at least probably like 8 years.
It's
very high right now for sure.
It's a pretty close-knit, like, alum base, right? Like you, PJ Tucker, DJ Augustine, KD, who else I'm missing? Mo Bamba. You guys get together a lot, like, in the off-season, no?
Yes and no. I think, for a while, I think we all did. We came back to UT and, we all kind of hung out and worked out together. And I think as you get older, obviously, you get more things to do and, you got to spend more time trying to, grow your brand and, more things that you're more, interested in. But guys are definitely close still.
LaMarcus, you retired and then unretired and then retired again. And which one was easier, or which one felt the more emotional to you?
I wouldn't say either one was easy. You're never ready to not play anymore. When you do this from a kid up, this is all you know. You eat, breathe, and sleep basketball. So I wouldn't say you're ever ready. But first one was definitely more emotional because it was forced. It was at terrible timing because I feel like if I would have still been around, I could have helped that team get past Milwaukee, and anything would have been possible. He just needed, Katie just needed a guy to just knock down, one shot. Kyrie was hurt, so I look back at that. I'm just like, man, that was terrible timing because that's what I do. I score, so I definitely feel like I could have helped in that series, but it is what it is. But I think my first one was definitely more dramatic and emotional because I wasn't even close to being ready.
Even after the second retirement, though, how much do you have to fight, like, the urge to say, psych, I'm coming back for some more? I mean, like, is there anyone who could have picked up the phone and asked you, hey, I know you said you retired, but we're trying to put together something here. We think we can make a run for the chip. Are you ready to come back on the court?
The competitor in me would always want to come back and play. I stay in shape. I still work out. So obviously, that would always intrigue me. But, at some point, you got to stay retired. And I'm not Tom Brady, but I guess if he stays out, I'll stay retired too.
You guys have a pact, a retirement pact? It's like, if you go back, I go back?
Yeah, I call him all the time. It's like, you go back, I'm going back too, bro.
Do you ever see yourself coaching or working in a front office?
I've thought about front office. I feel like I've been on some really good teams. I've been in some really good environments where I feel like I've learned what's needed to have a good team and what pieces are needed to, make a team go. So I feel like I've definitely thought about front office. Coaching, I don't know, because I wouldn't want to deal with myself when I was playing. I wasn't a bad player. It's just I was so particular. I didn't like change. And I feel like as a coach, you have to change things up sometimes to make sure that you're getting the best out of your team. So I would understand the players. So I don't know if I could, coach, but I think more front office for sure.
What's an example of a moment where now looking back, you could say I was kind of a little uncoachable in that moment because I didn't like change?
I would never say I was uncoachable. I think if it's presented to me in the right way, I'm pretty receptive to most things.
You got one in mind. It's all good, man. Like at the time, you thought you were justified, but looking back, you're like, probably was a little bit of a jackass right there.
I don't have one in mind, but I'm trying to think of one because I think I've always tried to handle myself in most professional way. Obviously, we all have our moments.
Yeah. What's a moment that, when you said right now in your answer, I wouldn't want to coach because I know how hard it probably was to coach me. What's a moment that made you think about that in your answer of saying, like, I wouldn't want to be a coach because thinking about, like, what it would have been like to coach me, it would have been not a walk in the park?
That was when I got to San Antonio, and we were winning 60 games that first year, and we were up by 30 at halftime every time, and I wanted to play the fourth. And Pop would fight me and be like, no, you can't play the fourth. But I'm just like, I need my rhythm. So, like, I want to go back in the game in the fourth. So I feel like, obviously, he was coaching the team in the right way, and, to risk injury wouldn't have been smart. But I would be so frustrated. I'd be like, I need to play more so I can have my rhythm. So then we would kind of butt heads a little bit about, I want to go in for like 2 more minutes, but, it would never happen. So I think that's what I was thinking about is like, I understand big picture now is like, hey, like let's not risk injury for you to get, 2 more minutes in the fourth quarter and we're up 30 points.
What's it like going head to head with Pop in the fourth quarter in the middle of a game? Like, do you remember anything he said to you?
Nah, Pop's a nice guy. Obviously, he has the rep that he can be, tough ass, which he can be. But I think if you approach him in the right way, it's never a bad conversation. It was just like, I think he understood I'm a big rhythm guy. Like, I have to get up in the morning, I have to go shoot. I'm after the games, I'm shooting sometimes. So I think he understands, like, my mindset is I have to be in the gym. So it was easy. It was just like some fun banter back and forth of like, well, next game, if I'm broke, don't be mad at me. And then, it's, him saying, well, we're up 30. So if you're off, then don't worry. So it's just like big picture stuff for him, which, looking back on it, I get.
You felt like the way you ended one game impacted the next game?
I felt like it could snowball a little bit if you're up 30, like that was a crazy season for us. Like we were winning every game by 30, so I wasn't even getting close to 30 minutes. I was in like the low 20s, if not like 19, 18. So for me, it's like sometimes you got to grind it out, and you got to find a rhythm, you got to get that sweat in, and you got to kind of struggle to get your rhythm back. So if I'm not playing a lot of minutes and then we're winning by 30 again, it's like, at what point can I find my rhythm? And then when the team's that good, like, you're practicing, but it's so quick because, you're trying to save your legs. So It's like, at what point can I find my rhythm and like get, everything like kind of like locked in?
You say you're a big rhythm guy, LaMarcus. Do you have any weird superstitions? Like, do rhythm and superstitions go hand in hand?
100%.
Oh yeah? What are they? Tell us.
I mean, I'm like the most superstitious guy when I played. It was like from putting on my right sock first, right shoe first, down to if I shot the ball bad, I would chunk the arm sleeve. I would chunk the tights I played in. Those shoes would get banned. Like I play good, like bring it all back, and like let's run it back. But if I ever play shitty, I'm like, get rid of all that. Don't bring it back. And like wash that jersey like 3 times. Like get that bad juju off the jersey. Like I'm the guy that like definitely thinks about all of the other stuff. If like I sleep 2.5 hours, I play great on game day. If I sleep, 3 hours, I play bad, then I'm up at 2.5 hours every time. Like I time everything to like where I'm in a rhythm, and it's like everything feels right.
Man, that's got to be exhausting, man. You try to keep
track.
No,
I loved it.
For real?
It gave you something to like do. Like you were locked in every day on like your routine. Like get 30 minutes of shots, do this, do that, do this, and it just makes it everything just flow easier.
So, LaMarcus, you obviously don't know this. You won me a pretty big bet when you were a free agent leaving Portland, and the two teams that were interested were the Suns and the Spurs. And I used to work for the Suns. I bet a pretty big amount that you wasn't going to Phoenix. And they were like, oh, you'll see, da-da-da-da. And then they got mad when you ended up going to San Antonio. I said, what do you expect? I said, it's like an actor being presented with two different directors with a movie role. And one director is Steven Spielberg, and another one is Steven Seagal. Who you gonna go to, man? Like, the Spurs had a tradition of excellence and been doing well. The Suns had hit hard times. Like, to me, it never, ever made sense that you would go to Phoenix. But now that I have you here, was it ever close, or was it kind of always San Antonio was number one and Phoenix was maybe a backup if things didn't go right in San Antonio?
No, it was really close. I think that's why they felt that way. Like, I was, genuinely interested in going there.
Why? Why were you interested in going to Phoenix? I gotta, for the audience, the younger audience, this isn't the Suns you see now that are winning 60 games and book and exciting and all. This was a Suns team that was one of the worst teams in the league, had been for 3 or 4 years at that point. What made you say, you know what, maybe?
Because I felt like at that point in my career, I feel like, obviously I'm not, LeBron and KD, those guys, but I feel like I was good enough to help them get better. One of my things I always wanted was to play with Tyson Chandler, because I felt like he guarded me pretty well, and I feel like we had some great battles. So I felt like him and I on the same team, I feel like I could have played it to an even higher level because he did so much of the dirty work. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was really intrigued to play with him, and I told them that, and then boom, he was there. And then they had Earl
Watson.
Yeah, he was going to be the coach, or he was the coach, one of those. I think he was next up. So he was there. And then they had Earl Watson, and he knew me. So he was just like, he loves family. Like, he's about this, he's about that. Like, he gave them the map. So the team you saw and what they presented to me wasn't the same. It was like, hey, we understand, like, we're, changing some things up, and, you're about family, and, this, that, and this, and this. So, like, this would be a focal point for us, and this. So it was like, the map was laid out to be close to the Spurs as far as like family environment and, trying to rebuild and, this, that, and this. But at the end of the day, obviously, like, I'm from Dallas, and, I have all my family in Texas. So it was just nice to come back home and like see my mom more, like see my cousins more. Like, it was just a better move for me as far as like seeing family. And also I was at UT, so I had always wondered about, playing for the Spurs. I felt like they fit my personality. I'm more chill, more reserved. They had Ime, and Ime's, like one of my best friends. So at the end of the day, it just was, a better fit for sure.
Yeah, and then the Suns tore up that map and threw it away and went back to being trash after that. Like, it's like, it didn't work. Never mind. Let's go back to doing how we did it.
Is there something sort of alluring about like being the guy who could save a franchise? Like, how much do you think that factors into players' decisions in ways that maybe like fans or the media don't see?
No, for me, it wasn't that. Like, for me, it was about my style of game was a little bit unspurs-like. So it was like, I can go here and still have the environment that I felt I belong in, but play my game how I play it, taking very tough shots, which, I made most of the time, hopefully. But, it wasn't, I was worried about my game translating to the Spurs, offense and kind of not playing well because I couldn't figure it out. So, like, that was my worry.
Your former teammate in Portland, Damian Lillard, has been, big topic this summer. His request to get traded. What do you think he's going through right now? And, were you surprised it took this long for him to say, okay, enough's enough, I need to get out of Portland now?
I mean, he's a very loyal guy. And I feel like, he tried to give the organization and, give the city, as long as he could to try to compete for, an actual championship. So you got to commend him for that. I mean, it's tough. Like, when you're in a position where you've been somewhere so long and you understand that, the system and, it's your team, it's always tough to leave. So he had to hit a certain breaking point to want to leave. So I'm sure it's tough for him, as far as, knowing that city and, being a part of that fabric of that city. So I'm sure it's tough for him right now. And, as I said, when you get to that point, it's, you got pushed there basically.
You had said that you'd wanted to stay in Portland. What is it about? Why do people want to stay in Portland? What's great about Portland?
Man, the fans are amazing. The city is really nice. For me, coming from Texas, it was a total change up far as, green grass, and hills, and, so like for me, it was just like an ultimate change of scenery, which, I grew to love. And I feel like the fan base is amazing. Once you really understand that city, like you just love to live there. Like you love, like the little restaurants you find, like you love like the city, and like they embrace you as you win. That city like totally gets behind you, which I was there to see it transform from Jailblazers to Trailblazers. So our first playoff appearance, we had a huge rally because like the whole city was so excited that we were back in the playoffs. We had this huge rally just for making the playoffs. Like we didn't win anything, but the fact that we were back in the playoffs, like the whole city took off work and came to this huge rally, and it was just crazy. So it's like a college atmosphere, but for like an NBA team, which I feel like is really good to have, for as when it's a Wednesday, and you got the old, the in-between Sacramento Kings coming in when they weren't really good. You really can't get up for that game. But if you go out to, the floor and it's a packed house on a Wednesday night and it's raining and, it's January. So I feel like the city helps you win games, as far as them being so good.
Marcus, you played in Portland with someone I know very well, Robin Lopez. He was a rookie when I worked for the Suns. Robin is a different dude. Robin is a guy that fits in with Portland being a weird town. Tell me your funniest Robin Lopez story, and I'll tell you mine, and we'll see who got a funnier story.
I loved Robin.
I love him too.
I took off when we got him because I feel like he is so weird that he didn't doing the things that we needed. And he, as long as you give him that one elbow jump shot, he was happy the whole game. So I thought it was a perfect fit. I don't know how many stories I have about him because I feel like he was so entrenched into the city. Like you said, like I think it was a perfect fit right away that he was always like gone or whatever. But I just remember like he would just come in and he would be on the phone talking about like Disney characters, and talking about comic books, but it'd be like real serious conversations about like me trying to buy like a really nice car or something. But he'd be like entrenched in the conversation, asking questions about like, well, is it mint condition, or is it like this, or is this character on there? I'm just like, man, he like really, really loves this stuff. So it's just to see a guy who didn't really care about what you thought, and he was just being himself, like that was kind of cool.
Yeah, man. For me, like I said, we had Robin as a rookie, so his temper was all over the place. This is before he became cool Robin, veteran Robin. He's a young guy. He was fiery as hell. So we had this one practice. They were playing 3-on-3 at the end of practice. Some of the younger guys and some of the old vets like Jaren Collins. And Jaren Collins hit the game winner. And I'm talking the ball was still in the air. He said, game, blouses. And we all started laughing. Robin walked upstairs, and our practice facility used to have these glass doors. He slammed the door so hard, the glass shattered. And so when they talked to him about it later, Robin was like, if the door was metal, this wouldn't be an issue right now.
True, right?
Hey, they changed the doors after that.
See?
Did they really?
They changed the door. I mean, like, we had to fix the doors. Like, well, we're going to put another glass door? Like, no, they put a metal one after that.
Yeah, smart man.
That's... Wow. Sorry, so, I got a little caught up in the glass door breaking there.
One last question for you, LaMarcus. You played in Portland, like you said, it's like a college atmosphere. It's one of the smallest towns in the NBA. You played in San Antonio, which is a bigger city, but still feels very kind of insulated, and, it's the only major sport in town. And then you play for the Nets, and that's New York City, playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, big spotlight, big intense media attention. What was that transition like? Was it, you know, because some guys play all over the league, so they played big markets, small markets. It all kind of blends in for them. But you went from kind of quiet markets to one of the loudest. What was that transition like for you?
It was easy because playing with those guys, it was like how crazy the game, like how simple the game became. I think my first year, I was only there, you know, year and a half. But my first season when I got bought out, I remember like we just running this simple play where I go pin down for KD, and I pin down for him, and like he's so good that both players go with him, and I just like turn, and the ball's in my hand, I just dunk it. I'm just like, I've never
been that open.
You've
never been that open and easy your entire life.
I'm like, this is stupid. How easy this was. So, like for me, it was easy, man. Like at that point in my career, like I wasn't no focus. You know, I was trying to help them win, but it was more about Kyrie, KD, and James. So, you know, I probably did media once a week. So it kind of felt like I was still in San Antonio because when I was, you know, in San Antonio, you know, Pop to make me do media every day, which you know, that was one of the reasons why I went there. But yeah, it was like, you know, I always loved playing on the big stage. So it was funny when I was in San Antonio, I loved to go play in Brooklyn because they tried to me, they adopted the whole atmosphere where the stage is lit, like where the court is lit and the stands are dark. I've always loved that. Like I had some of my best games when I was young, playing the Lakers at Staples Center because I felt like you're on the stage then, like you're the focal point. So I've always loved, you know, Barclays Arena, and so when I was there, I just enjoyed it.
Well, his name's LaMarcus Aldridge. He's a 7-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA player. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.